Welcome to She Rises Up podcast with Gemma and Lara. We are multi-award winning international coaches, authors and speakers specialized in women's empowerment and conscious leadership for women. Here we want to empower, uplift and elevate you with conscious conversations aimed to unify femininity, business and consciousness.
Welcome to episode 9 of She Who Rises Up podcast. This is Lara speaking, and of course we have the one and only Gemma with us today. Hello, Gemma.
Hello, Lara. Hello, everyone.
Right, so this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and therefore we wanted to focus on it today. So we are doing things a slightly different to how we do it normally. Having said that, we've still got our cards that came through, and they are very interesting cards and when we talk about cards, we're talking about oracle cards. And these two cards are very on point to the conversation today, which I'm sure the most beautiful thoughts and wisdom is going to come through. Right. From my perspective, I'm not sure, Gemma, if you'd like to say something, but from my perspective, we're not psychologists or we're not psychiatrists, but what we're going to be talking about is coming from a place of deep awareness. It's coming from a place of personal experiences, and also it's coming from a place of observation and working with women all over the world. So this is where we're coming from. And as usual, if you love it, take it, and if not, that's fine. Just take whatever resonates with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lara, for pointing that out. I think it's important for people to know that obviously we are not experts on mental health as such, whatever you feel an expert is, but we are experts of life because we have experienced many things. So we will be talking from our own experience, from the experience we have with customers as healers, as coaches. And yeah, I'm sure it will be beneficial for many of us, and whatever wisdom comes through as well, channel from our souls.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I don't know about you, Gemma, but I had a challenge when I was preparing for today's podcast. And the challenge is, how shall we focus on, or from what perspective shall we focus on it, right? Because if you were to talk about it from the mental health as it's being shared and discussed and talked about, for example, when I go to the different social medias and the different platforms and different initiatives that have been taking place, all in a very nice way with the highest intentions, of course. Or shall we take it from a spiritual or high consciousness perspective? Like, for example, in shamanism, they don't see mental health as such. In fact, they don't regard it as such. They see it as an opportunity for us to reconnect. Right. And this is when I was confused. How shall we focus and talk about it? Shall we talk about it from a day-to-day mainstream perspective, or shall we talk about it from other perspectives? So I'm really looking forward to today, because I don't know what's going to happen. Yes, we know, we've got some things that we want to talk through. So it will be very interesting to see how we're going to develop this conversation. So is there anything, Gemma, that you'd like, how would you like to engage with this conversation?
Yeah, I think both sides are quite valid, and I had the same concern or challenge yesterday when we decided to talk about mental health, because I feel that when at least I hear mental health, it has a negative connotation. It has it addresses the lack of mental health. So what came to mind was to listen to podcasts and read some articles from Michael Neill, who I used to I've been following for quite a while, and he's a coach and philosopher based in the US, and his perspective of mental health is the positive one, and is the connection one that you were talking about. And then I realized that we cannot really separate mental health from spiritual connection. I think they go unconsciousness, they go quite kind of hand in hand. But also you pointed out the other side, what's happening in the world today, and I think we probably will have to address that as well as we go along. But let's see what comes up.
Yeah.
What do you feel?
Do you know, this is the thing that we talk about mental health, and the thought that just came to my mind is mental health. I'm looking after the health of my mind.
Yes.
There is so much more than just the mind.
Exactly. Exactly.
How about soul health? How about heart health?
Mm. Yeah.
So is the mental health as such, the concept of mental health now, of course, now I need to say something here. When I was reconnecting and to the topic of today, and if you would to ask me, Lara, have you suffered from mental health, my first reaction to that would be no. And do you know why? Because I've never used those words to describe mental health. Now,
Yeah.
if you would have asked me, Lara, have you ever felt anxiety, stress, overwhelm, depression, suicide? I would tell you absolutely yes to every single one of them, right? So it's very interesting as to how, although I didn't connect to the concept of mental health as such, the words. I'm not talking about what's behind the words as such, but of course, when the description of that, it's from experience. We have gone through at some point in our lives. In fact, they say that 1 in 4 apparently suffer from mental health. So I'll be very interesting to explore. So Shao, what would you like to say now, Gemma?
Wow. Yeah, it's really interesting. I never thought that, but it's true. I never used those words either. But you hear a lot about mental health. But yeah, I have used depression, even sadness, and all those words that you said. So that's really interesting. However, we do talk about the health of the body, or the health of the body, and how connected is the body to the mind, because I feel that they are one. Body and mind go kind of hand in hand together. Is the 3D manifestation of the form that our soul wants to manifest in this world. So why separate it? Why separate body and mind?
Yeah.
They probably go really well together. And if we are feeling depressed, where is depression coming from? Are we really ill, or is the body telling us, hang on, there's something not working out here that well? Maybe it's coming from the body, or maybe it's coming from an experience outside of you that you are believing to be real, and you feeling depressed. But is it really a mental issue, or is it the mind telling you there is something wrong, address it?
Interesting. And the same with anxiety, right? Where's anxiety? Anxiety, again, there is a spectrum of anxiety as such, but it's very much about I'm spending more time in the future than I'm spending it in the present moment. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So again, I've done so much research, and shamanism is one of it's something that I'm interested in too, and I'm exploring this this way of living and being, right? And although they have something to say even about schizophrenia and about bipolar diseases and about even dementia, and dementia is something very close to my heart, something that I live in on a daily basis with one of my parents. Now, that I am right now not very comfortable about talking about that as such. So I would like to focus from my perspective on people who, because by the way, I say that I'm not comfortable talking about that because I need to research more and I need to understand more. And I know that even, and again, take it or leave it, if you resonate with that, but even from a medical perspective, I challenge some of the labels that have been given to people as if that it's, do we actually know everything that we need to know before we label things, right? And of course, without discrediting the medical world. My dad is a surgeon and we have medical businesses, so it's something that I respect highly. Having said that, I know there's so much more that we're not aware of, especially when it comes to this modality here.
Yeah.
From a person who is healthy, right? From a person who's healthy, who say, especially when they come and say, Lara, I've got mental health issues. So let's dive into what's really going on there. What is really going on there? Now, I have identified through, again, observation, my own experiences, and the work that I do with other women, certain situations that might lead to what we call, or some label, mental health, right? Shall I share with you some of those?
Please do.
Okay. So one of them is about thinking that happiness, it's the ultimate goal. What do you think? Happiness being the ultimate goal, as if there is no other feelings than happiness, and any other feelings are not okay. So much wisdom behind sadness, and so much wisdom behind darkness, right? We were talking about the card that came through. It was the card of darkness. What if the darkness is needed? In fact, not a what if, the darkness is needed. We need to make clear the darkness is needed. There is so much healing that comes from the darkness, right? And the thought or the philosophy of the magnificent Rumi comes to mind now, who says that the cure of the pain is in the pain. Right? How beautiful is that? The cure of the pain is in the pain, right? So this is one of the things that I have identified. Is like, am I putting so much pressure on a goal that I might not understand fully? Right? So that's one thing. Second thing is about the disconnection that we have with our own selves, the deep disconnection that we have with our own selves, right? That actually, I don't know who I am. In fact, I am so used to me that I don't see me anymore. Right? So this is something else. What else did I identify? The not knowing how to be with ourselves. And equally with everything that has been happening over the last year or so, I wonder what has been brought up into people's lives, right? What has been brought up that that they needed to see. Like, for example, I am thinking, I'm a single girl and I live on my own, and I spend a long time, during the isolation and quarantining and everything else on my own. And there were moments where I was shown things that I needed to heal about myself. And if I didn't have the courage to look at those, it would have stayed at the level of whatever, right? And my final point is that in a society that is heavily superficial, how many of us have the courage again to go deeper, right? And also, actually, this is a question more than anything. What ideals of the world am I imposing on me that are not for me?
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful, that question? What ideals of the world am I imposing on me that are not for me? Especially when I do and be what others want me to do and be.
Yeah.
And there's way much more than that. But these are some of the concepts that I identified. What do you think, Gemma?
Yeah, that is so interesting, and is pointing to the fact. I think it's a fact that mental health is a good thing. Is recognizing that we are mentally healthy, even though we don't use those words. But there are circumstances outside of us that most people recognize as this is causing me anxiety, or this is causing me depression, and they go into a pattern of thinking and emotion feeling that they then deeper into that anxiety or into that depression. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, when I used to think of mental health, to me it has negative connotations, but it doesn't need to be the way. It needs to be. We need to recognize that we are mentally healthy, and then from there, every day as it comes, every problem as it comes, recognize it as an external circumstance that happens to you because you are creating it from inside. And when you recognize that and bring consciousness to it, awareness to it, then you can turn it around. And the things that you mentioned, I mean, happiness, people talk so much about happiness today, and it's like the ultimate goal. But why not to be happy now? Regardless of the circumstances, you can find the happiness even through illness, even through challenge. When you take the mindset of the eternal student, you learn from everything that happens to you. And it's true what you say, that we learn through pain, and pain is the healer. And I remember I used to think, but why has it got to be that way? Why can we not learn through joy, through love, through why not? And yeah, you can, but you still have to experience. You still have to experience the emotion and whatever comes from the pain. You can experience it from depression, from anxiety, or you can choose to experience whatever is happening to you from the perspective of love, of unity, of peace, within you. So the happiness thing, it doesn't need to, we need to change the mindset. It's not the goal, is the path, and just enjoy each day, whatever comes from that happiness perspective. And the goal is just to continue with that mindset of happiness, whatever it takes you. So instead of happiness being the goal, is happening being the path itself.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know what to say now.
Neither. That's it. No, I remember, because we mentioned at the beginning that we went to talk about our personal experiences, because obviously we're not mental health professionals or psychologists or anything like it. And I would like to share, I think I've shared before in different podcasts episodes, but when I was younger, I used to suffer from deep sadness, and I used to call it depression. I don't know if it was depression now looking back, because a depressed person cannot really get out of bed. So I wasn't feeling depressed, it was deep sadness. And that deep sadness taught me that there was a huge amount of love within me that was hiding within that sadness. And I lived through it, and I've learned a lot from the sadness, from the loneliness I felt. And today I know that it was a lack of connection. I think at the end of the day, everything goes back to reconnecting to your true nature, to your true soul, to your truth. So to me, mental health is the same as well-being, is the same as spiritual well-being, is the same as connection. We are mentally healthy, and the more conscious we get, the more awareness we are about our thinking, the more we can identify those things that take us out of that connection with ourselves, with our true nature, with our soul, with our heart. So the more conscious we get, the more spiritual, or the more spirituality we experience, the more we can keep in that connection. And then we recognize that as we create our own reality, it's not the other way around, because most people think, the world is there and we experience what the world brings us. It's the other way around. We create our experiences and then they get manifested outside. So as soon as we recognize that we are personally responsible for our mental health, our the creation of our own reality, the present moment, and that whatever we create to experience, or whatever comes from outside, we can take it either from the point of view of, I'm going to deal with this from a dignity perspective, and I'm still going to enjoy whatever comes, or I'm going to go into the victimhood model and feel sick and ill. Then we can change. Then we can decide. We can change our reality.
Yes. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, Gemma. And yes, I'm not sure if we have time to go through experiences that I've had, but for sure, you know, the sadness that you talked about, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the suicidal thoughts when I was even a kid at a very young age that I had. So all that. I realized, in fact, as I was preparing for today, that a lot of what, and I'm using quote unquote mental health, that I know now, because now we have a word to describe those things, right? A word that is concise. It's that it was at the back, or was a consequence or a result of my traumas, or the experiences that I've had, and I feel that to label things sometimes is useful. It's useful for the brain. It's easier for the brain, right? The shadow aspect of that is that sometimes we could hang on to it, right, and we could give it more energy than actually it needs it, and I think that's important. to to have the courage to do a lot of things and take responsibility and step up as well. Now understand that, and again, we're talking here from experience, right? This is from people who have suffered a lot. Suffered, again, I'm not sure if suffering is the right thing, but we have gone through a lot of these things, so we're talking from with the wisdom of hindsight, I guess, right? Now to start wrapping up, let's talk about how can we support people to. Yeah, let's talk about the how. Let's talk about the how. Although we've already covered a lot of beautiful things so far. Do you have any hows that you'd like to share with people?
What I would like to say, I don't know if it's a how, but I think it is just to realize that it's normal. It's okay to feel anxious, to feel sad, to feel lonely, whatever it is. We might put labels, mentally, whatever, but it's normal. And I think it's important to realize that, because I used to feel that what I was feeling when I was younger, the depression and the loneliness and the thinking of suicidal thinking, it was unusual, and I was the only one feeling that way. And it's not like that. It's normal. It's normal, because that's what our minds do. And if we see it as a calling from our souls to do something about it, instead of I'm mentally sick because I'm feeling depressed or I'm feeling anxious, instead of seeing it as a sickness, let's see it as a calling from our body, from our soul, to say, hang on, there's something not right here. What is it? And then, like Lara was saying, let's look into it. Let's have the courage to go within, because there's no other way. Go within and see what's there. Why are we feeling lonely? What's the reason we're feeling this anxiety? Is it our body giving us signs? Is there any spiritual something we need to look at? Do we need to reconnect with ourselves and have the courage, like Lara was saying, to do that and go within and look into the shadow side, because that's the joy.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Gemma, for that. And from my perspective, I echo everything that you have mentioned, and to know that feelings are there to be felt, right? Feelings are not there to be discriminated against. So let's feel all the feelings, and have a relationship and be okay with all those feelings, and see the wisdom behind all those feelings. And one of the best ways of doing that is to be fully present and do our best to be fully present. I mean, are we fully present all day? Am I fully present all day long? The answer is no, but I do my absolute best to be as present as I can. Am I fully aligned all day long? The answer is absolutely not. I'll do my best to be as aligned as I can. And to create a mindful practice to help us being in the present, and start having those relationship with those feelings. So instead of staying at the level of the feeling, let's feel the feeling, but also let's ask the questions: what is the reason I am feeling this way, right? And one of the techniques I love is the 5 whys. The 5 whys. Why? Answer. Why? The answer. Another answer. Why? The answer of the second answer, right? Until I start going deeper into it, right? To see what's going on. And from a practical perspective as well, it's what is affecting my mental health? What is affecting my mental health? Let's write down at least 15 or 20 reasons as to what is really affecting your mental health, and what can you do or not do about it. So this is from a practical perspective as well, right? And I have a beautiful question here. Okay, now we're talking. We're going into self-love. We're going into self-love. This is not my question, so I can't take credit for that. Is one question that I've seen around social media that is very powerful, and it says, if I asked you to name all the things you love, how long will it take you to name yourself? How beautiful, right? So if I asked you to name all the things you love, how long will it take you to name yourself, right? So it's going, self-love is coming here. More things to work with someone, so with a professional coach, with a counselor, with whoever you're resonating with, that could support you from that perspective. And yes, there's so many advice out there, right? So here we want to give you some things that maybe are not as mainstream as, right? What else?
The work of Byron Katie comes to mind as well, because one of the questions that she uses in her therapy is, who would you be without that thought? So who would you be without the thought that you are depressed, or the thought that you are anxious, or the thought that you have mental issues? So who would you be? Who's behind that? And that takes you into the personal journey of unconditional love towards yourself, and into the shadow work. So who would you be without the thought that you are mentally not healthy?
Oh my goodness, that it's like a wow question, and again, the questions have got so much power, right? And they can be extremely triggering. So I hope our beautiful ladies have the they want to explore those questions. I hope so.
We hope so too, and we're here to support anyone who wish to experience themselves with us. We're open to that.
Absolutely. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us. We hope that you got some valuable insights and points for you to reflect on. And as Gemma mentioned, if you want to get in touch, we would love to hear from you. And this is it. In 2 weeks, another beautiful episode. And we look forward to connecting with you and hearing from you. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's all for today, ladies. Thank you so much for joining our conversation, and we truly hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe to our podcast and also share it with other fabulous ladies so they could benefit from it too. If you want to get in touch, you could find us on all major social media platforms. Speak to you very soon.